In the heart of New York City stood a 7-story mansion that felt less like a home and more like a psychological maze. The entrance alone was unsettling. Dozens of artificial eyes, neatly framed, staring outward as if daring visitors to notice them. Inside the main hall, a sculpture hung from the ceiling. A bride frozen mid-swing, gripping a rope, suspended between elegance and unease. In one office room, a preserved tiger sat stiffly beside a desk, taxidermied like a trophy. Nearby, on a shelf, rested a first-edition copy of Lolita, a novel infamous for its disturbing subject matter involving the abuse of a minor. This wasn't a movie set. This was real, and some of the most powerful people on Earth had dinner here. They laughed, drank wine, discussed business and politics, unaware or unconcerned that hidden cameras were watching. Cameras were installed not just in hallways, but inside bedrooms. One was reportedly mounted directly above a bed. Every movement, every private moment, silently recorded. This was the Manhattan residence of Jeffrey Epstein. Photographs on the walls told a chilling story of access. Epstein appeared alongside global figures: Pope John Paul II, Elon Musk, Fidel Castro, Bill Clinton, Donald Trump, and Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman. Nearby, a $1 bill signed by Bill Gates sat on display like a badge of honor. But behind this carefully curated image of influence lay a far darker reality. Epstein wasn't just a wealthy financier. He was accused of running a massive sex trafficking operation, targeting hundreds of underage girls and vulnerable women. In a previous chapter of this story, we explored his private island and how it became synonymous with one of the biggest scandals in modern American history. But on January 30th, something happened that reignited global outrage. The U.S. Department of Justice released a massive new batch of documents under the Epstein Files Transparency Act, over 3 million pages, including 180,000 photographs and more than 2,000 videos. Investigations linked to these files are now active in at least 10 countries. And with this release came new names, new accusations, and new questions that shook governments, corporations, and royal families, presidents, prime ministers, billionaires, tech moguls. Even Indian political and business figures appeared in these records, alongside global celebrities who had previously denied any connection to Epstein. The narrative that everyone already knew everything suddenly collapsed. How did one man gain such unbelievable access to the world's elite? How did he move effortlessly through the highest circles of power, and how did he use that access, not just for wealth, but for control? To understand that, we need to rewind the story, because Jeffrey Epstein didn't start as a billionaire kingmaker. He started as a nobody, and the man who changed everything for him held the keys to both money and legitimacy. In the next part, we uncover the mysterious billionaire who built Epstein's empire and why he walked away without ever calling the police. Before Jeffrey Epstein owned islands, jets, and mansions, he was a college dropout teaching mathematics at a private school. No hedge fund pedigree, no inherited fortune, no clear explanation for what came next. That explanation begins with one name: Leslie Wexner. Wexner is one of America's wealthiest businessmen, the founder of brands like Victoria's Secret and Bath and Body Works. In the 1980s, he hired Epstein as a financial advisor. What started as a professional relationship quickly turned into something far more unusual. Wexner didn't just trust Epstein with money. He granted him power of attorney, giving Epstein legal control over massive assets. Soon after, Wexner transferred a Manhattan mansion to Epstein, the very same 7-story property on East 71st Street. This wasn't just any house. It was the largest private residence in Manhattan, featuring over 40 luxury rooms and valued at tens of millions of dollars. Officially, Epstein acquired it for a shockingly low price. Unofficially, it was almost a gift. Years later, when Epstein's crimes became public, Wexner claimed Epstein had misappropriated large sums of money from him. But here's the part that raised eyebrows worldwide. For years, Wexner filed no police complaints, launched no lawsuits, and took no legal action against Epstein. By then, Epstein had everything: money, property, planes, and access. But witnesses say his real power came from something else. According to victim testimony, Epstein's Manhattan home contained a media room lined with monitors displaying live feeds from hidden cameras placed throughout the house, bedrooms, bathrooms, everywhere. Victim Maria Farmer described seeing screens labeled only with words like bed and bathroom, repeated again and again. Police raids later confirmed the existence of hidden recording equipment, first in Florida in 2005 and again in New York in 2019. The FBI reportedly found locked safes filled with CDs, each labeled with a young person's name followed by another adult's name. This led to one terrifying theory: Epstein's true business wasn't finance. It was blackmail. Record powerful people doing unthinkable things. Store the evidence. Use it when needed. For years, celebrities and politicians publicly denied ever visiting Epstein's properties. "I was never on the island," they insisted. But the January 30th document release told a different story. One major revelation involved Google co-founder Sergey Brin. Witnesses and former staff confirmed his presence on Epstein's island multiple times. Another name that surfaced was Elon Musk, who had once accused others of hiding the Epstein files, only to later appear within them himself. Email exchanges from 2012 to 2014 showed Musk asking about parties on the island and discussing visits. Calendar entries hinted at planned trips. The irony was impossible to ignore, but Epstein's network wasn't limited to Silicon Valley or Wall Street. It extended deep into global politics, including India. In the next part, we trace Epstein's connections to Indian power brokers and why one meeting date raised alarms across continents. As the latest Epstein files were analyzed, attention quickly shifted beyond the US and Europe. Buried within thousands of emails and messages were repeated references to India, and not just in passing. One of the most detailed connections involved industrialist Anil Ambani. Between 2017 and 2019, Epstein and Ambani exchanged numerous documented emails and messages. In one message, Ambani requested guidance on navigating relationships with the White House concerning defense cooperation. In another, he asked for help arranging meetings with senior figures close to President Trump, including Jared Kushner. What shocked analysts most was timing. In May 2019, during India's national election results, Ambani visited Epstein's Manhattan residence. Internal emails confirmed a meeting on May 23rd, the very day election results were announced. That same night, Epstein messaged Trump strategist Steve Bannon, describing the meeting as really interesting and referring to Ambani as Modi's guy. Soon after, Epstein told Bannon that Modi is on board and suggested a potential meeting between India's Prime Minister and Bannon, citing a shared opposition to China. There is no direct evidence of communication between Epstein and Prime Minister Narendra Modi. However, Epstein repeatedly invoked Modi's name in conversations with others, raising serious questions about exaggeration, influence peddling, or something deeper. Another Indian name surfaced, Hardeep Singh Puri, now a senior minister in the Indian government. The files document multiple meetings between Puri and Epstein between 2015 and 2017, all at Epstein's Manhattan home. Puri has stated these interactions occurred before he joined the government and were related to his work in international diplomacy. That may be true. But critics argue the core issue remains. Epstein had already been a convicted sex offender by 2008. Why were diplomats and future ministers maintaining contact? The most controversial claim came from a 2017 email Epstein sent to an associate, suggesting he had advised Prime Minister Modi during his Israel visit that year. India's Ministry of External Affairs dismissed this statement as baseless speculation from a convicted criminal and officially denied any such role, yet doubts persist. If Epstein was merely fabricating influence, why did so many powerful people keep showing up at his door? Why did businessmen and diplomats rely on him to arrange introductions at the highest levels of global power? Because Epstein's reach didn't stop with India. The deeper investigators looked, the clearer the pattern became. In the next part, we move into royal palaces, presidential offices and intelligence agencies, where Epstein's shadow grew even darker. Perhaps the most dramatic downfall linked to Epstein involved Prince Andrew of the British royal family. Victim Virginia Giuffre accused him of sexually assaulting her when she was 17 on 3 separate occasions. A photograph showing Andrew with his arm around Giuffre became one of the most infamous images of the scandal. In 2022, Andrew settled a civil lawsuit for millions of pounds without admitting guilt. The newly released files added further damaging details, including emails, suggesting Epstein offered to introduce Andrew to young women. Eventually, Andrew was stripped of his royal titles and forced to vacate royal property. Tragically, Giuffre died by suicide in 2025, raising renewed anger and suspicion around accountability. Epstein's influence extended into American politics as well. While Bill Gates publicly downplayed his relationship with Epstein, records showed multiple meetings after Epstein's 2008 conviction, including private jet travel. Draft emails Epstein wrote to himself suggested he believed he held leverage over Gates, allegations Gates' representatives strongly deny. Donald Trump's name appeared in thousands of documents. While no criminal charges have resulted, FBI summaries included numerous disturbing allegations reported by the public. The White House dismissed many as politically motivated or unverified. International leaders weren't spared. Former Israeli Prime Minister Ehud Barak met Epstein dozens of times. A former CIA director acknowledged meetings. Business leaders, ambassadors, and even celebrated intellectuals like Noam Chomsky appeared in correspondence. The pattern was unmistakable. Epstein had access everywhere. Yet despite millions of documents, only one person besides Epstein has been convicted. His associate Ghislaine Maxwell. Epstein himself died in jail in 2019, officially ruled a suicide. But camera failures, broken protocols, and suspicious circumstances left many unconvinced. Another Epstein associate, French agent Jean-Luc Brunel, also died in custody under similar circumstances. Coincidence or cleanup? In the final part, we confront the question that refuses to disappear. Was Epstein the mastermind, or just the fall guy for a much larger system? By 2026, over 3.5 million pages of Epstein-related documents had been released, yet nearly 40% remain sealed, and the Department of Justice, the very body controlling those releases, operates under political leadership with its own conflicts of interest. That reality fuels the most unsettling question of all. Was Epstein eliminated to protect others? Officially, he died by suicide. Unofficially, his death solved many problems for presidents, princes, billionaires, and institutions that never faced charges. Epstein's story is no longer just about sexual crimes. It's about power protecting power. Information was his weapon. Access was his currency. And silence was the price. Whether through blackmail or influence peddling, Epstein embedded himself so deeply into elite networks that exposing the full truth may threaten entire systems of governance. And that may be why the truth remains incomplete. Because, if all the files were released, every video, every recording, every name, the world might finally see how fragile justice becomes when the accused sit at the very top. The files aren't finished, the story isn't over. And the most dangerous, secrets may still be locked away, waiting to surface.